Welcome to Cosmo Publishing. You just tuned yourself to the coolest place to learn all about self-publishing. We are a turnkey quality service provider, from interior formatting to custom covers and everything in between, including book marketing and advertising. It is the company that books a lot.
Welcome to the Cosmo Publishing Podcast, the place where we explore every corner of self-publishing, from writing and formatting to marketing and distribution. I'm your host, Gürhan, co-founder of Cosmo Publishing and Cosmodio books. Together, we provide complete publishing solutions, everything from manuscript formatting and custom cover design to global distribution, Amazon ads, social media campaigns, and full-service email marketing. Today, we're diving into a question that almost every new author wrestles with. Should I publish my book as a paperback, a hardcover, an eBook, or maybe all three? On the surface, it sounds like a small decision, but in reality, the format you choose has a big impact on your success as an author. Why? Because different readers prefer different formats, and each format comes with its own costs, benefits, and opportunities. If you choose wisely, you'll make it easier for readers to discover and buy your book. If you ignore formats altogether, you might cut yourself off from half your potential audience. Let me start by asking you to picture something simple. How do you read? Do you like the feeling of holding a paperback in your hands, folding the corners of the pages, maybe scribbling notes in the margins? Or are you the type who collects hardcovers, the kind that look elegant on a shelf, make wonderful gifts, and have that satisfying new book smell when you crack them open? Or maybe you're a digital reader. Maybe you read on a Kindle or another device because it's lighter, cheaper, and lets you carry an entire library in your pocket. Here's the thing. Your readers are just like you. They have preferences, and those preferences matter. Some people won't even consider an ebook. Others would never buy a hardcover because it's too expensive. If you only publish in one format, you're essentially saying no to all the readers who prefer something else. I'll give you a quick story to illustrate. A friend of mine published his first fantasy novel. He chose to release it only as an ebook because it was the cheapest and fastest option. He thought everyone read digitally these days, and he wanted to save money on printing. The book went live, but sales were slow. When he asked around, he discovered that most of his target readers, young adults who love fantasy, still preferred physical books. They wanted to hold the book, underline quotes, or lend it to a friend. Once he added a paperback edition, his sales doubled within a few months. Same exact story, same exact words. The difference was simply offering another format. On the other side of the coin, I once worked with a nonfiction author who went all in on a hardcover edition. She thought that releasing in hardcover would make her book look more professional and prestigious, which it did. The book looked beautiful, but her readers, busy professionals who liked quick portable reads, didn't want to lug around a $25 hardcover. They wanted a $4.99 Kindle version they could read on their commute, or a lightweight paperback they could throw into their bag. Her hardcover sat untouched, while her later paperback and ebook editions actually sold. These two stories prove an important point. Choosing your format isn't just a publishing decision, it's a marketing decision. It's about how your book shows up in the hands of your readers. So, in this episode, we're going to break it all down in the simplest possible terms. Think of it as a simple guide for a novice, clear, friendly, and step by step. Here's what we'll cover. The basics of each format, what paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks are, and why they matter. How they differ in production and printing costs. The impact each one has on the reader's experience, what royalties look like for each format, how formats affect marketing and sales opportunities, and finally, how to choose the right format or combination of formats for your first book. By the end of this episode, you'll not only understand the differences, but you'll also have the confidence to make the right choice for your publishing journey. And if you're still unsure, don't worry. We'll also talk about strategies for starting simple and expanding into other formats later. So grab a notebook, maybe your favorite drink, and get comfortable. Whether you're holding your very first manuscript or you're just curious about what publishing might look like, this is going to be your roadmap. Welcome to paperback versus hardcover versus ebook. Which format should you choose? Section 2, the basics of each format. Now that we've set the stage, let's talk about the basics of each format. Before we dive into costs, royalties, and marketing strategies, it's important to understand what each format actually is and what it means for you as an author. We'll look at paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks one by one. Each has its own personality, strengths, and weaknesses. Think of them like 3 siblings in the same family. They're related, but they couldn't be more different. Paperbacks. Paperbacks are the most common format in self-publishing. They're lightweight, affordable, and flexible. Readers love them because they're easy to carry, they don't cost much compared to hardcovers, and they feel casual. If you've ever stuffed a book in your bag before heading out for the day, chances are it was a paperback. They bend, they travel well, and if you spill coffee on them, it's not the end of the world. From the author's perspective, paperbacks are also the easiest print option to start with on Amazon. The printing costs are lower, the setup is straightforward, and they sell well in most genres. For example, novels, memoirs, self-help guides, and even many non-fiction works sell strongly in paperback. There's also a psychological factor. Readers often see paperbacks as approachable. They're not intimidating. A big, heavy hardcover might feel like a commitment, but a paperback feels like something you can pick up and finish without much effort. That makes paperbacks an excellent choice for debut authors who are trying to attract readers for the first time. Hardcovers. Hardcovers are the luxury format of publishing. They are durable, sturdy, and prestigious. When someone gives you a hardcover as a gift, it feels special. When you walk into a bookstore, the new release section often features hardcovers first. From a practical standpoint, hardcovers last longer. They don't bend or tear as easily as paperbacks. Libraries and collectors often prefer them because they hold up over time. For some readers, hardcovers signal that a book is serious. But there's a trade-off. Hardcovers are more expensive to produce, and they sell for a higher price. That can make them harder to move in large numbers, especially for new authors. If you're unknown and your hardcover is priced at $25, while paperbacks in your genre are selling for $12, many readers will hesitate. There's also the question of availability. Amazon has started offering hardcover options through print on demand, but they're more limited than paperbacks. Other services like Ingram Spark or Lulu give you more flexibility, but they also come with extra costs. So when should you consider a hardcover? If your book is gift-worthy, like a coffee table book, a photography collection, or a beautiful children's picture book, a hardcover makes sense. If you're writing a novel or a business book, you might add a hardcover later once you have an audience and demand for it. And then eBooks. eBooks are the digital side of publishing. No printing, no shipping, no physical product, just a file that readers can download instantly. The biggest advantage of eBooks is accessibility. A reader in New York and a reader in Tokyo can buy your book at the exact same moment. There's no shipping delay, no border issues, no printing cost. That's powerful. For readers, eBooks are convenient. They can adjust font sizes, change backgrounds, highlight passages, and carry an entire library in their pocket. They're also usually cheaper than print versions, which makes them appealing to price-sensitive buyers. For authors, eBooks have another big advantage: higher royalties. Since there's no printing cost, more of the sale price goes to you. And if you price your ebook within Amazon's preferred range, usually between $2.99 and $9.99, you can earn up to 70% of the sale price. But ebooks have their challenges too. Some readers simply don't like digital reading. They want the feel of paper. They want a book on their shelf. So, while ebooks can reach a global audience instantly, they don't completely replace print books. A real-life example. Let me share a real-life example that shows how these formats complement each other. I worked with an author who published a romance novel. She started with an ebook because it was fast and inexpensive. Within a week, she was selling copies internationally, but many of her readers asked for a print edition. So she added a paperback. Sales doubled. Later, she introduced a hardcover edition, and although it didn't sell as many copies as the ebook or paperback, it became popular as a gift. The lesson here is that each format serves a different purpose. The ebook reached global readers instantly. The paperback became the everyday favorite, and the hardcover added prestige and gift appeal. Together, they created a balanced publishing strategy. Recap of the basics. So here's what we know so far. Paperbacks are affordable, approachable, and perfect for everyday readers. Hardcovers are durable, premium, and add credibility, but they cost more to produce and sell. Ebooks are instant, global, and high margin, but they don't appeal to every reader. Each format has its place. As an author, your job is to decide which one or combination fits your goals and your audience. With the basics in mind, let's move on to the next big question. What are the printing and production differences between these formats, and how do they affect your publishing journey? That's what we'll explore in the next section. Section 3, Printing and Production Differences. Now that you understand the basics of each format, let's go a little deeper. Publishing isn't just about deciding whether you want a paperback, a hardcover, or an ebook. It's also about understanding how each one is produced, what it costs you as an author, and how it ends up in your reader's hands. This is where many beginners get nervous. They imagine warehouses full of books, giant printing presses, and stacks of unsold copies sitting in a garage. But the reality is much simpler. Thanks to Amazon and other print-on-demand services, you don't need a warehouse, and you don't need to print 1,000 copies at once. Books are printed one at a time, only when a reader orders them. And paperbacks. When you publish a paperback on Amazon, the process is called print on demand. That means your book is not printed until someone clicks buy, the printing facility closest to that reader produces a single copy, ships it, and you get your royalty. This system has changed everything for self-publishers. In the past, authors had to order large print runs, sometimes hundreds or thousands of copies, and then store them in their homes or pay for storage. Today, you don't need to spend money up front or guess how many copies you might sell. One order equals one print. But there are still costs involved. Amazon charges a printing fee for every paperback sold. The fee depends on your book's page count, trim size, and whether it's black and white or color. For example, a 200-page black and white novel might cost about $3 to print. If you price it at $12.99, Amazon subtracts its cut and the printing cost, and you keep the rest. Paperbacks are relatively affordable to produce and buy, which is why they're usually the backbone of an indie author's catalog. Hardcovers. Hardcovers are a little more complex. Amazon now offers print-on-demand hardcovers, but with some limitations. You have fewer trim sizes to choose from, and the costs are higher because hardcovers require sturdier materials, a dust jacket or case laminate, and stronger binding. If your paperback costs $3 to print, the same book in hardcover might cost $6 or $7. That means you'll need to price it higher to make a profit. Most indie hardcovers sell in the $20 to $25 range. Because of the higher price, hardcovers usually don't sell as many copies as paperbacks. But the readers who do buy them value the durability and prestige. Hardcovers are also favored by libraries, schools, and collectors, which can help you reach new audiences. Another option some authors explore is printing hardcovers through Ingram Spark or Lulu. These platforms sometimes offer more sizes and distribution options than Amazon. The trade-off is that they often charge setup fees, unlike Amazon, which is free to use. eBooks. Now, let's talk about eBooks. The production process for an ebook is completely different. There's no printing, no shipping, no physical materials at all. An ebook is simply a digital file that readers can download instantly. When you upload your ebook to Amazon, you're essentially giving them a file, usually an EPUB or DOCX, that gets converted into a Kindle-friendly format. Once it's live, a reader can purchase and download it in seconds, anywhere in the world. The beauty of ebooks is that there are no production costs per copy. Whether you sell one ebook or 1 million, the cost to you is the same, 0. That's why royalties on ebooks can be higher than print. But it also means you need to pay attention to formatting, because sloppy files make for a bad reading experience. Comparing the three. So, how do these formats compare when it comes to production? Paperbacks are inexpensive to print, widely available, and a solid middle ground for most authors. Hardcovers are more expensive to produce, but add prestige and durability. Ebooks cost nothing to reproduce, but they require careful file preparation. One important thing to remember is that you don't have to choose just one. Many authors release an ebook and a paperback at the same time. Some add a hardcover later if they see demand. The flexibility of modern publishing means you can experiment without risking thousands of dollars up front. A real-life example. Let me give you a real example. I worked with a children's author who released her first book in 3 formats: ebook, paperback, and hardcover. The ebook sold well internationally because parents could download it instantly for their kids. The paperback became the bestseller in her local market, especially at school events and book fairs. The hardcover didn't sell as many copies, but it was a hit as a holiday gift. Parents loved giving it as a keepsake. If she had only released one format, she would have missed out on some of those sales, but by offering all 3, she maximized her reach and gave readers a choice. So, to sum it up, Amazon uses print on demand for paperbacks and hardcovers, which means books are printed only when someone orders them. Paperbacks are cheaper to produce and sell, which makes them the most popular format for indie authors. Hardcovers cost more and sell for higher prices, but they add prestige and longevity. eBooks have no production costs per copy, which means higher royalties, but they require clean digital files. Understanding these differences helps you make smarter choices about your formats. It also helps you set realistic expectations about what each one can do for you. Now that you know how each format is produced, let's take it one step further. In the next section, we'll explore how readers actually experience these formats. Because at the end of the day, the format isn't just about cost, it's about how your readers connect with your book. Section 4, Reader Experience. Now that we've looked at how paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks are produced, let's talk about something just as important, how readers experience these formats. Because here's the truth. Publishing isn't only about costs and royalties. It's about readers. The way your audience interacts with your book can make or break its success. Each format creates a different experience, and that experience influences what readers buy, how they read, and even how they feel about your book. Now, paperbacks. Paperbacks are the comfort food of publishing. They feel familiar, approachable, and casual. For many readers, a paperback is their default choice. They can slip it into a backpack, take it on vacation, or read it on the couch. Paperbacks are light enough to carry around, and if they get bent or dog-eared, nobody cries about it. For authors, this means paperbacks are often the safest bet for connecting with a wide audience. People who might hesitate to spend $25 on a hardcover are often happy to spend $12.99 on a paperback. That affordability makes them a favorite for everyday reading. I once worked with a memoir author whose sales exploded only after she added a paperback edition. Her ebook did fine, but she noticed that older readers who didn't want to deal with e-readers started buying her paperback in large numbers. She told me, "It wasn't until I held the paperback in my hands that I felt like a real author." That feeling matters too for both readers and writers. Hardcovers. Hardcovers create a completely different experience. They are heavier, more durable, and often seen as more serious. When someone buys a hardcover, it's usually because they want to treasure it, gift it, or display it. Think about the last time you walked into a bookstore. The big new releases up front were probably hardcovers. That's not a coincidence. Publishers use hardcovers to signal that a book is special, worth collecting, or worth paying a premium for. From the reader's perspective, a hardcover can feel like an investment. It's not just a book, it's an object. It might be proudly displayed on a shelf, given as a gift, or saved as a keepsake. That's why hardcovers work well for certain genres like children's books, art and photography books, or nonfiction titles where credibility is important. But remember, not all readers want that experience. Many readers will look at the $25 price tag and think twice, especially if the paperback is available at half the cost. eBooks. eBooks create yet another kind of experience. They're instant, portable, and customizable. Readers can buy an ebook in seconds and start reading immediately, no matter where they are. They can adjust font sizes, change background colors, highlight passages, and carry hundreds of books on one device. For some readers, this flexibility is everything. I know people who only read eBooks because of eyesight issues. They can enlarge the font until it's comfortable. Others read exclusively on their phones while commuting, and eBooks make that possible. The downside is that eBooks lack the physical feel of a book. You can't flip pages, you can't smell the paper, and you can't put it on your shelf. Some readers love eBooks for the convenience, but others will never switch from print because they crave that tactile connection. How experience shapes sales. Here's the key takeaway. The way readers experience each format directly affects your sales. Some readers will only ever buy e-books. Others will only ever buy print. Many readers buy both depending on the situation. Let's say a thriller fan is traveling for work. They might grab the e-book version to read on a plane, but when they get home, they might buy the paperback for their shelf. I've even seen superfans buy all three formats of a book: ebook for travel, paperback for casual reading, and hardcover to keep as a collectible. This is why offering multiple formats can be powerful. You're not just selling the same book 3 times. You're giving readers choices that fit their lifestyle. A real-life example. I once worked with a business author who launched his book in all 3 formats at once. The ebook sold best internationally because readers could download it instantly. The paperback sold best at conferences where he spoke because attendees wanted something affordable to take home. And the hardcover, that became his calling card. He signed copies for clients, gave them as gifts, and even used them in photo shoots for his website. Each format served a different purpose, but together they created a full experience for his audience. A recap of reader experience. So let's recap how readers experience these formats. Paperbacks are affordable, casual, and portable, making them the everyday favorite. Hardcovers are premium, durable, and gift-worthy, giving readers a sense of prestige and permanence. eBooks are instant, customizable, and global, offering unmatched convenience. Each format gives readers something unique. And as an author, the more you understand these experiences, the better you can meet your audience where they are. But in the next section, we'll shift gears from the reader's perspective to your perspective as the author. Specifically, we'll look at author costs and royalties, because knowing how much money you make from each format is just as important as knowing how readers experience them. Section 5. Author costs and royalties. Up to this point, we've talked about what formats are, how they're produced, and how readers experience them. Now it's time to look at something that every author cares about, the money. Specifically, what does it cost you to produce each format, and how much do you actually earn from sales? This is where self-publishing gets real, because no matter how passionate you are about your book, at the end of the day, you want to know if you'll make enough to cover your costs and hopefully even build a steady stream of income. eBooks. Let's start with eBooks because they're the simplest. With an ebook, there are no printing costs. You're not paying for paper, ink, or shipping. Once you've uploaded your file to Amazon, every copy sold is just a digital download. Amazon pays authors a royalty based on the price of the ebook. There are 2 royalty rates, 35% and 70%. To qualify for the 70% rate, your book has to be priced between $2.99 and $9.99. If you set your price outside that range, for example, at 99 cents or at $14.99, you'll get the 35% rate. Let's walk through an example. Suppose your ebook is priced at $4.99. At the 70% royalty rate, you'd earn about $3.49 per sale. Compare that with a 99-cent ebook where you'd earn about 35 cents. That's a big difference. Of course, there's a catch. At the 70% royalty level, Amazon also charges a small delivery fee based on the size of your file. For text-only books, this fee is tiny, just a few cents. But if your book has a lot of images, like a cookbook or a children's book, the delivery cost can add up. Paperbacks. Now let's talk about paperbacks. With print books, things get a little more complicated because you have to account for printing costs. Amazon uses print on demand, which means they print a copy only when someone orders it. You don't pay up front, but the printing cost is deducted from your royalties. The cost depends on the number of pages, the type of paper, whether it's color or black and white, and the trim size. For example, let's say you have a 200-page black and white paperback. It might cost $3.25 to print. If you price your book at $12.99, here's how the math works. Amazon takes 40% of the list price as their share, which is $5.20. Then they subtract the printing cost of $3.25. That leaves you with $4.54 in royalty per sale. Now imagine you chose to print in color. That same 200-page book might cost $10 to print. If you price it at $14.99 after Amazon's cut and the printing cost, your royalty might shrink to less than $1. This is why most indie authors stick to black and white interiors unless color is essential, like in children's picture books or cookbooks. Hardcovers. Hardcovers follow the same logic but with higher costs. Because they use sturdier materials and more complex binding, hardcovers cost more to print. Let's say your hardcover costs $6 to produce. If you price it at $24.99, Amazon takes 40%, which is about $10. Subtract the $6 printing cost, and you're left with about $8.99 in royalties per sale. That's more than you'd earn on a paperback or an ebook, but remember, the higher retail price means fewer readers will buy it. Hardcovers work best when your audience values durability and prestige, not affordability. Comparing the three. So how do these formats compare side by side? eBooks have no printing costs and offer high royalties, especially if priced between $2.99 and $9.99. Paperbacks have moderate printing costs and solid royalties, usually a few dollars per sale. Hardcovers have the highest printing costs, but also the highest profit per book, provided readers are willing to pay the higher price. Real-life scenarios. Let's put this into a real-world scenario. Imagine you write a novel and release it in all three formats. Your ebook is priced at $4.99, earning you about $3.50 per sale. Your paperback is priced at $12.99, earning you about $4.50 per sale. Your hardcover is priced at $24.99, earning you about $9 per sale. Now let's say you sell 50 copies of each format in 1 month. That's $175 from eBooks, $225 from paperbacks, and $450 from hardcovers. Altogether, you'd earn around $850. Of course, not every author sells evenly across formats. Some sell mostly ebooks, some mostly paperbacks, and some rely on hardcovers for special occasions or gifts. But this example shows how the formats can work together to create a solid income stream. Mistakes to avoid. Here are a few common mistakes beginners make. Some authors underprice their eBooks, thinking 99 cents will attract more buyers. In reality, readers often associate very low prices with low quality. Others overprice their paperbacks, setting them at $20 when similar books in their genre sell for $12. Readers notice that, and sales suffer. And with hardcovers, some authors assume they'll sell like hotcakes because they look professional. But if your audience doesn't care about hardcovers, you could end up with almost no sales in that format. Recap of costs and royalties. So here's the bottom line. eBooks give you high royalties with no printing cost, making them the most profitable per copy at the right price point. Paperbacks are affordable to print and sell, offering steady, reliable income. Hardcovers bring prestige and higher royalties per book, but at the cost of higher prices and fewer buyers. Knowing these numbers helps you make smarter choices. It also prepares you for the reality that not all formats will perform equally. The key is to understand your audience and match your pricing strategy to their expectations. Next, we'll look at something just as important as costs and royalties, the impact of formats on marketing and sales. Because at the end of the day, it's not just about what you earn, it's about how you get your book into the hands of readers. Section 6, Marketing and Sales Impact. So far we've talked about what formats are, how they're produced, how readers experience them, and what they mean for your royalties. But here's the next big question. How do formats affect your marketing and sales? This part is crucial because no matter how good your book is, readers won't find it unless you market it. And believe it or not, the formats you choose can either make your marketing easier or make it harder. Paperbacks and marketing. Paperbacks are often the most marketable format for new authors. Why? Because they are affordable, familiar, and easy to share. If you go to a local book signing or an author event, nobody wants to walk away with just a digital download code. They want something physical, something you can sign, something they can hold in their hands. That's where paperbacks shine. Paperbacks are also great for giveaways. If you're running a social media campaign, sending a few signed copies to influencers or early readers creates buzz in a way an ebook cannot. People love posting photos of real books, not just screenshots of a Kindle screen. I worked with a romance author who doubled her Instagram engagement simply by mailing paperback copies to a handful of bookstagrammers. Within a week, she had dozens of new photos of her book circulating online, which attracted new readers and boosted sales. Hardcovers and marketing. Hardcovers are powerful marketing tools in their own way. They may not sell as many copies as paperbacks or eBooks, but they can elevate your brand as an author. When readers see a hardcover, they associate it with credibility and professionalism. That perception alone can set you apart in a crowded market. For example, if you're writing nonfiction, having a hardcover version signals that your book is serious and worth investing in. Hardcovers are also excellent for media exposure. If you're sending copies to journalists, reviewers, or podcasters, a hardcover makes a strong impression. It looks polished and gift-worthy, which increases the chance of coverage. One of my clients, a business coach, launched his book in hardcover and used it as a networking tool. Every time he met a potential client, he handed them a signed hardcover. It wasn't just a book, it was a calling card. That strategy landed him multiple speaking gigs and consulting contracts. eBooks and marketing. Now let's talk about eBooks. While you can't sign an ebook or put it on a shelf, eBooks are marketing gold in their own right. First, eBooks allow you to run special promotions easily. You can drop your ebook price for a limited time, even down to 99 cents or free, to attract new readers. You can't really do that with paperbacks or hardcovers without losing money. Second, eBooks make it possible to reach readers instantly anywhere in the world. That means when you promote your book online, you're not limited by geography. A reader in London can buy your ebook the same minute a reader in New York does. And third, eBooks integrate beautifully with Amazon's marketing ecosystem. For example, Kindle Unlimited allows readers to borrow your book as part of a subscription service. You get paid for every page they read. That opens up a whole new audience of readers who might never buy your book outright, but are happy to read it if it's available in Kindle Unlimited. Format and discoverability. Here's something many beginners don't realize. Having multiple formats increases your discoverability on Amazon. Each format creates its own product page. Your ebook, your paperback, and your hardcover all appear in search results. They're linked together, but they count as separate entries in the system. That means more opportunities for readers to stumble across your book. Think of it like fishing with 3 nets instead of 1. The more formats you offer, the more likely you are to catch a reader's attention. Events and author presence. Formats also affect how you present yourself as an author. If you plan to attend live events, speak at conferences, or sell books at fairs, you'll want a paperback or hardcover. Readers expect to walk away with a signed copy, not just a digital link. On the other hand, if your entire strategy is digital, if you're running Amazon ads, email marketing campaigns, and social media promotions, then an ebook first strategy might work fine. But again, offering all 3 formats gives you maximum flexibility. Pricing and perception. We also have to talk about how formats influence perception. Pricing plays into this. If you only offer an ebook at $4.99, some readers might think your book is less serious. But if they see that the paperback is $12.99 and the hardcover is $24.99, suddenly the ebook looks like a bargain. This is called price anchoring. By offering multiple formats, you can guide readers toward the option you want them to buy. Many readers will choose the paperback simply because it feels like the middle ground between affordability and value. Real-life case study. Here's a real case study. A sci-fi author I know released his book only as an ebook. Sales were steady but modest. 6 months later, he added a paperback. Not only did paperback sales take off, but his ebook sales also increased. Why? Because readers saw the paperback priced at $14.99, which made the ebook at $4.99 look like a deal. The presence of both formats boosted sales across the board. Later, he added a hardcover. It didn't sell as much as the other 2, but it gave him credibility at conventions and book signings. Fans lined up to get signed copies. The hardcover became more of a marketing tool than a revenue stream, but it was worth it. Recap of marketing and sales impact. So here's what we know. Paperbacks are essential for live events, signings, and giveaways, and they create shareable moments online. Hardcovers elevate your brand, create prestige, and work well for gifts, media exposure, and networking. eBooks are flexible, global, and perfect for promotions and subscriptions like Kindle Unlimited. Having multiple formats boosts discoverability, influences reader perception, and creates price anchoring that can increase sales across all versions. In the next section, we'll answer the million-dollar question. With all these differences, which format should you actually choose? Should you start simple, focus on one, or try to release all 3? That's what we'll explore in Section 7. Section 7. Which format should you choose? We've covered a lot of ground so far. You now know what paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks are. You've learned how they're produced, how readers experience them, how much money you make from each, and how they affect your marketing and sales. Now comes the big question every new author asks. Which one should I choose? The truth is, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. The right choice depends on your goals, your budget, your audience, and even your patience. But let's walk through some scenarios to help you decide where to start. If you're a first-time author, if you're just starting out, the safest strategy is to begin with an ebook and a paperback. Why? Because they cover the widest range of readers without costing you a lot of money up front. An ebook gets your book out there instantly, reaching readers across the globe in minutes. A paperback gives you something physical you can hold, sign, and sell at events. Together, these two formats meet the needs of most readers while keeping your publishing process simple and affordable. Hardcovers are wonderful, but they're not necessary for a first release. If you're on a budget or feeling overwhelmed, don't pressure yourself to launch in hardcover right away. You can always add one later. If you're writing nonfiction, nonfiction often benefits from having all three formats eventually, but the order matters. Start with a paperback and an ebook. Readers of nonfiction want practical, affordable formats they can take notes in or read on the go. Once your book gains traction, consider adding a hardcover. Why? Because nonfiction is all about credibility. A hardcover version signals authority and seriousness, which can help you book speaking engagements, attract media coverage, or sell to corporate buyers. If you're writing fiction, for fiction, paperbacks and ebooks are your bread and butter. Most readers in genres like romance, thriller, fantasy, and mystery prefer affordable paperbacks or quick ebooks. Hardcovers in fiction are usually reserved for special editions or collectors. If you're publishing a series, you might experiment. Release the first book as an ebook and paperback. Once the series gains fans, offer a hardcover box set as a premium option. That way, you're not relying on hardcovers to sell your first book. You're using them later to give superfans something special. If you're creating children's books are a special case. Parents and kids want something physical to hold, flip through, and read together. Paperbacks are good, but hardcovers are even better for durability. Kids are rough on books. A hardcover will survive the sticky fingers, bedtime tossing, and years on a shelf. That doesn't mean you skip the ebook version. Digital editions of children's books are becoming more popular, especially for tablets, but if you can afford it, offering a hardcover for children's books almost always pays off. If you're focused on marketing and branding. Sometimes the format choice isn't about sales numbers, it's about image. If your book is part of your business brand, or if you're using it to position yourself as an expert, a hardcover can be a powerful tool. Handing someone a signed hardcover feels different from handing them a flimsy paperback. It says, "This is a serious book, and I am a serious author." This is especially true for coaches, consultants, and speakers. If you plan to use your book as a business card, a hardcover could be worth the investment, even if it doesn't sell thousands of copies. Don't think you have to choose forever. Here's the good news. You don't have to pick one format and stick with it forever. Amazon makes it easy to add formats later. You can start with an ebook, then add a paperback, then add a hardcover 6 months down the line. Many successful authors build their catalog this way, gradually expanding their reach as they learn what their audience wants. I worked with a fantasy author who did exactly this. She launched her book as an ebook only. 3 months later, she added a paperback. A year later, she released a hardcover special edition with bonus illustrations. Each step gave her readers something new, and each step grew her audience. Recap of how to decide. So how do you decide which format to start with? If you're brand new, begin with an ebook and a paperback. If you're writing nonfiction, add a hardcover once you gain traction. If you're writing fiction, stick with ebooks and paperbacks and save hardcovers for special editions. If you're creating children's books, prioritize a hardcover for durability and parent appeal. If you're using your book for branding or business, a hardcover can boost your image even if sales are modest. Final thoughts before we wrap. Choosing a format is not a life or death decision. It's a strategy. Start with what makes sense for your audience and budget, then expand over time. The most important thing is to publish. Too many new authors get stuck worrying about the perfect format and never release their book. Don't let that happen to you. Remember, your words matter more than the format. Formats are tools. They help you reach readers in the way they prefer to read. Whether that's on a Kindle, in a soft paperback, or in a shiny hardcover, the important thing is that your story gets into their hands. In the final part of this episode, we'll bring everything together. We'll recap what we've learned and give you a clear action checklist you can use as you decide which formats are right for your book. Action checklist. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of this episode of the Cosmo Publishing Podcast. We've spent the last half hour exploring the world of paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks. We've talked about what they are, how they're produced, how readers experience them, how much money you can earn from each, and how they affect your marketing and sales. Finally, we answered the big question of which format you should choose. Let's take a moment to slow down and recap. Paperbacks are the everyday favorites. They're affordable, approachable, and portable. Most new authors will sell more paperbacks than hardcovers because readers see them as practical and easy to buy. Hardcovers are the prestige format. They're durable, collectible, and gift-worthy. They don't sell as many copies as paperbacks, but they can raise your credibility as an author and give your book that special edge. eBooks are the global workhorses. They can be downloaded instantly, carry no printing cost, and reach readers anywhere in the world in seconds. They're also great for promotions and subscription services like Kindle Unlimited, giving you extra ways to grow your audience. Each of these formats has strengths and weaknesses, but here's the beauty of self-publishing today. You don't have to choose just one forever. Amazon allows you to publish in multiple formats at the same time, and you can add new ones whenever you're ready. That means you can start small and expand as your audience grows. Action checklist for beginners. Here's a simple action checklist to guide you after this episode. Start with the formats that make the most sense for your budget and audience. For most authors, that means launching with an ebook and a paperback. Think about your readers. If you're writing children's books, consider adding a hardcover early because parents value durability. If you're writing nonfiction, Add a hardcover later for credibility once your book starts to gain traction. Keep your pricing realistic. Remember that eBooks priced between $2.99 and $9.99 qualify for the higher royalty rate. Paperbacks should be priced competitively within your genre, often between $9.99 and $15. Hardcovers can go higher, but make sure your readers will actually pay that amount. Use your formats as marketing tools. Give away signed paperbacks to create buzz. Offer hardcovers as special editions or gifts. Run ebook promotions to reach readers worldwide. Remember that you can change and adjust later. If one format isn't selling well, you can tweak the price, redesign the cover, or even retire that format without losing everything you've built. Flexibility is one of the greatest strengths of publishing with Amazon. And the final word. Publishing in different formats might feel overwhelming at first, but don't let it hold you back. The truth is, your readers care more about your story than the format. Formats are just doors that open the way to your content. Some readers walk through the eBook door, some walk through the paperback door, and a few walk proudly through the hardcover door. Your job is to keep those doors open. I'll leave you with this story. One of our authors at Cosmo Publishing launched her first book as an ebook only. She was nervous, on a budget, and didn't think she could manage more. A few months later, she added a paperback, and her sales doubled. A year later, she released a hardcover edition for her superfans, and even though it didn't outsell the other formats, it gave her the confidence to pitch her book to bookstores and libraries. Today, she sells in all three formats, and she told me, it wasn't about being perfect from day one, it was about starting. And that's the real lesson. You don't need to publish every format right away. You just need to take the first step. Once your book is out there, you can always add, adjust, and improve. Thank you for joining me on this episode of the Cosmo Publishing Podcast. I'm your host, Gürhan, and I hope this guide to paperbacks, hardcovers, and eBooks has given you the clarity and confidence you need to move forward with your publishing journey. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe to the podcast, share it with a fellow writer, and leave us a review. And remember, at Cosmo Publishing and Cosmodio Books, we're here to support you every step of the way, from formatting and cover design to global distribution and marketing. Until next time, keep writing, keep publishing, and keep sharing your story with the world.